Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling something really out there. We're exploring a theory that claims the chaos of geopolitical conflict isn't random at all.
Not random in the slightest. The source we're digging into, Israel's Phi Ratio Wars and Prophetic Time, argues that it all fits onto a universal mathematical blueprint.
And that blueprint is the Phi ratio, 1.618, the golden ratio.
Exactly. The author calls it the signature of the creator and, well, applies it directly to the timeline of biblical prophecy, with Israel at the center of it all.
Okay, let's unpack this right away. The core idea is that the modern state of Israel is Jehovah's prophetic time clock for the end times.
Right, and so the goal of the theory is to use this Phi ratio, combined with something the author calls Sacred Gematria, to triangulate a terminal point.
A terminal point being a specific time, place, or event in the future.
Precisely. And just to clarify for everyone, Sacred Gematria is the practice of assigning numbers to letters and words. The idea is that these numbers reveal, a deeper divine truth hidden in texts, and in this case, in history.
So phi is the key constant in this hidden code. Let's move from the abstract to, well, the practical. If phi is the constant, how does the triangulation actually work?
It's basically geometry applied to time. The thinking is, if phi defines proportion and beauty everywhere in creation, from shells to galaxies, it must also define the timing of major historical events.
Okay, so there's a rule to it.
A simple one. To find point C, the future event, you first need to establish two solid historical reference points, point A and point B.
And the relationship between them is what?
It's all about the ratio. If the time between point A and point B is, say, X years, then the time between point B and the future point C will be X multiplied by 1.618.
So you're finding the golden section cut on a timeline?
You got it.
Okay, that makes it clear. Now, the author applies this exact template to Israel's two most persistent and dangerous fronts since 1948.
Yes, the conflicts with Hezbollah in Lebanon and with Hamas in Gaza. The source chose these because they represent these two distinct, parallel timelines of hostility.
Let's start with the Hezbollah front, then. The two historical points chosen were the First Lebanon War in 1982 and the Second Lebanon War in 2006.
Okay, so that's a difference of 24 years between those 2 points.
So you take 24 years, multiply it by 1.618, that gives you roughly 38.8 years.
Right, and you add that to the second point, to 2006.
Which would point us toward late 2044. That seems a bit far off.
And this is a really critical clarification of the source material. The author isn't just applying it forward in one simple calculation. It's a constant triangulation. It's looking at internal cycles, going backward and forward to find a point of convergence.
A convergence?
Yes. So after all that complex triangulation, the theory didn't conclude 2044. It concluded the stage would be set for a major conflict in 2024.
That's a huge distinction. And the source then points to the Israeli ground invasion of southern Lebanon, which began October 1st, 2024, as confirmation.
It's noted as the largest military conflict there since 2006, so for the author, it's a direct hit.
But you have to ask, why 1982 and 2006? Why not other conflicts? There's a potential for, selection bias there.
Absolutely. The source defends this by saying these two were the most universally recognized major wars involving Hezbollah specifically. They were the most prophetically weighty data points, so to speak.
Okay, I see the reasoning, even if it feels a little convenient. Let's look at the second front then, the Gaza and Hamas conflicts. Same model.
Same model. Here, the two reference points are a major war in 2008 and then the major offensive in 2014. That's a 6-year gap.
6 years times 1.618 is about 9.7 years. Add that to 2014 and you're in early 2023.
Exactly. The prediction for the terminal point on the Gaza timeline was a major war due in 2023.
And the source confirmation for that was, of course, the Hamas attack of October 7, 2023.
And this is what the author claims is the truly compelling part. It's the convergence.
Right.
You have two completely distinct timelines for two different enemies calculated with the same mathematical constant, and they point to the adjacent years of 2023 and 2024.
So for the source, the odds of that happening by random chance are just astronomically low. It's presented as the ultimate validation.
It's the proof, yes, that Phi is actively structuring prophetic time.
Okay, so if the timeline is set by the math, what about divine warnings? How does the theory account for, signs of what's coming?
That's where astronomy comes in. It's the complementary method. The claim is that Jehovah uses astronomical signs, comets, eclipses, novae as harbingers of chaos.
A sort of secondary confirmation visible in the heavens.
So that even if you dismiss the math, the signs are supposedly undeniable. And the source points to two key events tied to this 2023-2024 period.
The first one being Comet C2023 A3. What's the significance there?
Well, according to the source, ancient Persian astronomers believed a comet with a westward trajectory signaled upheaval in the west. War, famine, death.
And this one's trajectory.
It crisscrossed the constellation of Virgo, and the author uses Virgo as a kind of euphemism for Israel, connecting it to Revelation.
And there was more, wasn't there? Something about its depiction.
Yes, the comet was visually depicted as being struck by missiles, and this whole period coincided with Iran launching missiles toward Israel.
Yeah.
Very potent visual link.
Potent, yes, even if you're interpreting it after the fact. The second sign seems even more charged. The TCRB nova explosion in Corona Borealis.
Yes, this one is a big deal in the source material. Some Jewish rabbis apparently call this the Star of Jacob.
And its history is key.
Absolutely. The last time this star went nova, a huge stellar brightening, was in 1946, just on the eve of the 1947 UN partition plan that created modern Israel.
So the timing is seen as prophetically significant.
Immensely. And its location, Corona Borealis, the crown, is interpreted as signaling a coming king, a coronation.
Not just any king, though.
No. The theory posits this nova signals the imminent coronation of the biblical AntiChrist, a false Jewish Messiah who will appear on the world stage after an event the author calls the rapture.
So the wars, the math, the stars, they're all just setting the stage for the final act.
Exactly, the warning all the way to Armageddon. The idea is, if the world is completely exhausted and shell-shocked by these wars, it will eagerly accept any deal that guarantees peace and security.
And that's the moment this false messiah figure steps in. The source describes him as more than just a political leader, right?
Much more. He's described as a brilliant military leader, but also a master builder, a mason in the symbolic order of Solomon.
And his great unifying act,
Will be to sanction the decree to rebuild the Third Temple in Jerusalem.
which is a major flashpoint event in almost every end-time scenario. The source sees this as a global rallying cry.
A cry to unite a world that's terrified of nuclear war. But the theory interprets this unification as, well, an act of profound defiance against the true God Jehovah.
The author gives this figure a specific name, a callback.
He calls him Nimrod 2.0. The original Nimrod from Genesis built the Tower of Babel to unify humanity in defiance of God. This new figure does the same, but with the temple.
So these conflicts aren't the final war, they're just the precursor.
They're the necessary setup for the big one. The Gog-Magog War from Ezekiel 38 and 39, a massive Russian-led Muslim coalition against Israel.
And the source claims that Israel is actually, maybe even intentionally, seeding this conflict, drawing Russia in.
It's a very specific geopolitical claim. It cites Israel's involvement in the Ukraine war supplying Iron Dome batteries, allegedly providing guidance systems for missiles hitting deep inside Russia.
And the motivation for that, according to the source,
It's twofold. One, economic. Israel doesn't want competition from Russian natural gas pipelines. Two, military. They want to stop Russia from aiding their Muslim enemies. The calculation is better to force a fight with Russia now.
which means these actions aren't just pragmatic geopolitics, they're steps to ensure a prophesied war happens.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the source points out that for some Orthodox rabbis of the Sanhedrin, this war isn't a tragedy to be avoided. It's destiny,
It's the war they expect will usher in their Messiah.
a powerful, self-driven force.
And this trajectory, it leads to the ultimate, terrifying terminal point, the nuclear one.
The author is pretty blunt about this. The argument is that Israel is surrounded, outnumbered, and simply cannot sustain a protracted, multi-front ground war.
It would lose its mind and its morality, as the source puts it.
So at some point of existential threat, the theory conjectures that the Middle East will go nuclear. Israel will exercise the Samson Option.
Let's define that. The Samson Option is Israel's alleged policy of massive retaliation. If we go down, we're taking you with us.
Named after the biblical Samson pulling the temple down on himself and his enemies. It's a policy of mutually assured destruction, and the source is clear. This is not a prediction of a conventional war. It's a nuclear exchange.
And the author claims this isn't a new idea. This Phi Ratio Theory was also applied to the blood moon tetrads.
Correct. The ones in 4950, 6768, and 2014-15, all pivotal times for Israel. The claim is this same mathematical approach can predict the timing of World War III, which is seen as a direct result of these current Israeli wars.
So, to synthesize all this for you, the listener, we've looked at a complex theory that takes Phi, a constant of beauty and design, and applies it to the timing of chaos and war.
We've seen how Sacred Gematria, the geopolitical events of 2023 and 2024, and specific astronomical signs are all triangulated, and they all point down a path towards a false messiah, a new temple, the Gog-Magog War, and finally, nuclear war.
It's a lot, and it leads to a final, pretty provocative thought. The three Abrahamic faiths, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, are all waiting for their own version of a messiah, their own end times figure.
Each with their own timeline, their own hopes.
Right. But this theory suggests that the ultimate terminal point for all these converging timelines isn't determined by prayer or politics or human choices at all. It's determined by a cold, predetermined mathematical cycle. So if human history and war is just the unfolding of a golden ratio formula, what does that really say about free will? Can conflict ever truly be avoided? That's something for you to think about until our next deep dive.